Imagine a world where gas stations run dry, lines stretch for blocks, and the price of oil quadruples overnight. This wasn't a dystopian novel. It was America in 1973, gripped by an unprecedented oil embargo that shook the nation to its core. 50 years later, the echoes of that crisis still shape U.S. energy policy. Today, we're witnessing new battles for energy security, independence, and the vital role of our Strategic Petroleum Reserve. What lessons have we truly learned, and are we prepared for the next energy shock? Our quest for energy independence is a saga of ambition, vulnerability, and evolving strategies. From the immediate aftermath of the 1973 oil embargo, every U.S. administration has grappled with the challenge of securing reliable, affordable energy. This journey defines not just our economy, but our geopolitical standing and national security. The year 1973 marked a brutal awakening. In October, during the Yom Kippur War, Arab members of OPEC retaliated against U.S. support for Israel by imposing an oil embargo. This wasn't just a political act. It was an economic weapon wielded with devastating effect. The U.S. was already facing declining domestic oil production and existing price controls, which exacerbated the shortages. The impact was immediate and severe. Oil prices quadrupled in a short period, pushing the global economy into a deep recession. Americans faced long lines at gas pumps, and the sense of national vulnerability was profound. Domestically, this led to inflation, economic stagnation, stagflation, and forced the American automotive industry, accustomed to large vehicles, into a painful restructuring. It also dramatically shifted wealth to oil-producing nations, transforming the geopolitical landscape. The U.S. government responded with a flurry of initiatives. President Nixon launched Project Independence, aiming for energy self-sufficiency through conservation and alternative energy sources. Later, President Carter established the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, SPR, in 1977 as a strategic buffer against future supply shocks. The Department of Energy was also created during this period, signifying a long-term commitment to energy security. The concept of energy independence has been a guiding star for U.S. policy ever since. However, its definition and how to achieve it have evolved. The shale revolution of the 21st century dramatically changed the game, turning the U.S. into a net energy exporter by 2019 for the first time since 1952. This achievement, however, doesn't mean complete isolation from global markets, as energy prices remain globally interconnected. True independence means resilience against disruptions and freedom from geopolitical coercion. Fast forward to 2024 and 2025. The U.S. energy policy has entered a transformative phase, often characterized by a push for energy dominance. This involves accelerating domestic production of oil and natural gas, expanding nuclear modernization programs, and developing critical minerals. Recent executive orders, like Unleashing American Energy, January 2025, aim to expedite permitting and reduce regulations to boost exploration and production on federal lands and offshore. The Biden administration previously focused on accelerating both clean energy deployment and fossil fuel production, leveraging acts like the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, and Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, BIL, to boost domestic manufacturing of renewables and reduce emissions. However, a shift in administration in 2025 has seen proposals to roll back some of these Green New Deal initiatives, redirecting funds towards energy dominance objectives, potentially impacting the pace of clean energy transition while solidifying fossil fuel leadership. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR, remains a critical national security asset. After significant draws in 2022 to stabilize global markets, its inventory dropped to the lowest in 40 years. As of late 2024, the SPR held around 394 million barrels out of its approximately 714 million barrel capacity. Efforts to replenish it are underway, with the Energy Department announcing purchases for delivery into early 2026. the current administration has made refilling the SPR to capacity a top priority, viewing current lower oil prices as an opportune time to buy. Looking ahead, the U.S. faces a complex energy future. Will the focus on energy dominance ensure stability and lower prices at home, or will it come at the cost of global climate goals? The tension between maximizing domestic fossil fuel production and accelerating the clean energy transition will define policy debates. Geopolitical events, such as the rivalry with China and ongoing conflicts like the Russia-Ukraine war, continue to underscore the importance of energy resilience and diversified supplies. In this shifting landscape, there will inevitably be winners and losers. Domestic fossil fuel producers and consumers benefiting from potentially lower energy costs could be among the winners under a policy geared towards maximum extraction. On the other hand, clean energy sectors, heavily reliant on previous incentives, might face headwinds, potentially slowing the pace of emissions reductions. The global energy market will also react to the U.S. approach, impacting allied and rival nations alike. The enduring lesson from 1973 is clear. Energy security is paramount and multifaceted. It requires not just abundant domestic production, but also strategic reserves, diversified energy sources, and the flexibility to navigate unpredictable global markets. It reminds us that over-reliance on any single source or foreign supplier carries significant risks. The quest for true energy resilience is an ongoing balancing act between economic growth, environmental stewardship, and national security. From the gas lines of 1973 to the strategic decisions of 2025, America's energy journey continues to define its place in the world. How we manage this complex matrix of history, policy, and innovation will determine our prosperity and security for decades to come. What are your thoughts on America's energy future? Let us know in the comments below. The geopolitical landscape also plays a crucial role. Nations are increasingly using energy as a tool of foreign policy. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, for example, highlighted Europe's vulnerability to Russian gas supplies, prompting a scramble for alternative sources and accelerated renewable energy investments. The U.S., as a major energy producer, finds its role in global energy diplomacy amplified. Domestically, the debate over climate change and fossil fuels remains fiercely contested. While the energy dominance agenda prioritizes production, it also faces pressure from environmental groups and a growing public demand for sustainable practices. Striking a balance between economic interests and ecological responsibility is a tightrope walk for policymakers. Technological innovation continues to disrupt the energy sector. Advances in fracking transformed the U.S. from an energy importer to an exporter. Future breakthroughs in battery storage, small modular reactors, and carbon capture technologies promise to further reshape the energy mix. These innovations offer potential pathways to both energy security and environmental goals if embraced strategically. The shift in global energy markets has implications for international alliances. As the U.S. expands its energy exports, it can offer greater energy security to allies in Europe and Asia, potentially reducing their reliance on less stable suppliers. This enhances U.S. diplomatic leverage, but also requires careful navigation of complex trade relationships. The economic impact of energy policy is felt directly by consumers. Fluctuations in oil prices affect everything from gasoline at the pump to the cost of goods transported by truck. Policies that stabilize prices or offer rebates can provide immediate relief, while long-term investments in energy efficiency can reduce household burdens. The energy sector also creates millions of jobs, from drilling and refining to manufacturing solar panels and installing wind turbines. Policy decisions have direct consequences for employment. A focus on traditional energy may bolster jobs in specific regions, while investment in clean energy can spur growth in new industries and technologies across the nation. The path to energy dominance requires significant infrastructure investment. This includes new pipelines, export terminals, and upgraded electricity grids. While such projects promise economic benefits and increased capacity, they often face environmental opposition and complex regulatory hurdles. Public perception of energy policy is critical. Campaigns to educate the public on the importance of the SPR, the benefits of diversified energy, and the trade-offs involved in various policy choices are essential for gaining support and ensuring long-term stability. Misinformation or lack of understanding can undermine even well-intentioned policies. The U.S. strategic posture in the Indo-Pacific region is also intertwined with energy security. Ensuring stable energy supplies for key allies like Japan and South Korea, which are heavily reliant on imports, is a crucial component of regional stability and U.S. influence. The history of America's energy policy is a continuous learning process. The 1973 embargo taught us the perils of over-reliance. The shale revolution showed us the power of domestic innovation. Each new challenge, from climate change to geopolitical conflicts, adds another layer of complexity to the ongoing quest for energy resilience. The future of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve itself is subject to debate. Some argue for increasing its capacity, while others question its long-term relevance in an era of abundant domestic production. Its role as an economic shock absorber versus a national security asset is a key discussion point. The interplay between energy policy and environmental regulations will intensify. Any push for energy dominance will have to contend with existing and proposed environmental protections. Striking a balance that supports economic growth without irreversible ecological damage is a defining challenge of our time. The global energy transition away from fossil fuels, while slow, is inexorable. Even as the U.S. pursues energy dominance in traditional fuels, the long-term trend towards renewables and clean energy technologies will continue to influence investment decisions and international competitiveness. The role of natural gas, often seen as a bridge fuel, is also evolving. As a cleaner-burning fossil fuel than coal, it has helped reduce U.S. emissions, but its continued expansion faces scrutiny from climate advocates. Its export potential remains a key part of the energy dominance strategy. Cybersecurity threats to energy infrastructure are a growing concern. The digital networks that control power grids, pipelines, and refineries are vulnerable to attacks that could disrupt supply and cause widespread blackouts. Protecting these critical assets is a top national security priority. The impact of energy prices on inflation is undeniable. When oil and gas prices spike, it filters through the entire economy, increasing costs for businesses and consumers. Energy policies that aim to stabilize prices can therefore play a crucial role in broader economic stability. International cooperation on energy security is also vital. Working with allies to diversify global supply chains, share intelligence on threats, and coordinate strategic reserves can amplify the impact of individual national efforts, creating a more resilient global energy system. The energy decisions made today will have long-lasting consequences for future generations. The balance between short-term economic gains and long-term environmental sustainability is a moral and practical challenge that requires foresight and responsible governance. The concept of all of the above energy strategy, which supports both fossil fuels and renewables, has been a common refrain in U.S. policy. However, the emphasis shifts with each administration, leading to cycles of prioritization and deprioritization of different energy sources. The role of energy in national defense cannot be overstated. Military operations require vast amounts of fuel, and secure supply lines are essential. Protecting energy infrastructure from foreign adversaries and ensuring resilient supplies for defense forces are paramount. Renewable energy technologies are becoming increasingly competitive. Solar and wind power costs have plummeted, making them economically viable alternatives to traditional fuels in many regions. This trend offers a path to reduce reliance on volatile fossil fuel markets. Critical minerals are another strategic concern. The raw materials needed for batteries, electric vehicles, and renewable energy technologies are often concentrated in a few countries, raising new questions of supply chain security and geopolitical competition. The history of energy also shows how innovation can disrupt established powers. The shift from coal to oil, and now potentially to renewables, fundamentally alters economic and political influence, both domestically and internationally. Adaptability is key. Energy efficiency and conservation remain foundational elements of any robust energy strategy. Reducing demand through smarter consumption, better insulation, and more efficient vehicles lessens the pressure on supply and enhances overall security. The financial markets react strongly to energy policy. Investment decisions in both fossil fuels and clean energy depend heavily on regulatory frameworks, subsidies, and long-term policy signals. Stability and clarity from government are crucial for attracting capital. The global energy security architecture, including international energy organizations and treaties, plays a vital role in coordinating responses to supply disruptions and promoting stable markets. U.S. engagement with these bodies is crucial. The narrative of energy dominance also implies leadership in energy technologies and markets. This means not just producing energy, but also innovating in fields like carbon capture, advanced nuclear, and hydrogen, and exporting that expertise. Water resources are intimately linked to energy production. Fracking requires significant water, and many power plants use water for cooling. Managing these interdependencies, especially in drought-prone regions, is an increasing challenge. The changing climate also impacts energy infrastructure. Extreme weather events like hurricanes, wildfires, and severe cold snaps can disrupt power grids and fuel supplies, demanding more resilient and distributed energy systems. The role of consumers in energy policy is often underestimated. Choices made at the individual level, from purchasing electric vehicles to installing solar panels, collectively influence demand and accelerate shifts in the energy landscape. Educating the next generation about energy literacy is crucial. Understanding the complexities of energy production, consumption, and its environmental and economic impacts prepares future citizens to make informed decisions and contribute to sustainable solutions. Regional energy disparities within the U.S. present unique challenges. States reliant on fossil fuels face different economic realities and political pressures than those investing heavily in renewables. Federal policy must navigate these varied interests. The debate over energy access and energy justice is gaining prominence. Ensuring that all communities, including low-income and marginalized populations, have access to affordable, clean energy is a growing concern for advocates. The political rhetoric surrounding energy policy often masks complex realities. Slogans like energy independence or Green New Deal simplify intricate issues. A nuanced understanding is essential for effective governance and informed public debate. The historical context of indigenous land rights and energy development is a sensitive issue. Many energy projects, both fossil fuel and renewable, are proposed on or near tribal lands, necessitating careful consideration of sovereignty and environmental impacts. The future of transportation, particularly the accelerating transition to electric vehicles, will profoundly impact oil demand. Government incentives, charging infrastructure development, and battery technology advancements are key drivers of this shift. From the shock of 1973 to the strategic imperatives of 2025, America's energy journey is a testament to its resilience and adaptability. As global challenges evolve, so too must our approach to securing a stable, prosperous, and sustainable energy future. What path will we choose?